He was hungry, so hungry that even the smell of freshly baked bread from the gas station next door made his stomach twist. His name was Ethan Cole, a single dad trying to raise his 7-year-old daughter, Lily, after his wife passed away 2 years ago. That morning, he'd skip breakfast again so Lily could have the last slice of bread and a little jam before school. By noon, his hands were blackened with engine oil, and his stomach felt hollow. He wasn't looking for kindness that day. He just wanted enough money to keep gas in his old pickup and food in his daughter's lunchbox. But life has a strange way of changing in the quietest moments, and sometimes it begins with nothing more than a sandwich. Ethan had been sitting in his small auto repair shop on the edge of town, a dusty, forgotten corner most people drove past without noticing, when an expensive white car rolled in, coughing and sputtering. Out stepped a woman in a crisp suit, frustration written across her face. "You're my last hope," she sighed, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear. Her name was Grace Miller, a woman who looked like she belonged in city boardrooms, not this rundown garage. Ethan wiped his hands on an old rag and asked, "What seems to be the problem?" She explained that her car had stopped in the middle of the road, and every mechanic she'd called was too busy. When Ethan lifted the hood, he could tell the problem right away. A cracked hose and a loose connection. It wasn't a big fix, but she looked nervous, checking her watch every minute. "You in a hurry?" he asked lightly. "Big meeting," she replied. He nodded, understanding. He'd once been that man, rushing, working, believing every hour mattered more than people. That was before life humbled him. After 30 minutes, the car was good as new. Grace opened her purse and asked, "How much do I owe you?" Ethan shook his head. "Don't worry about it. It's just a small fix," she insisted, but he smiled gently. "Honestly, if you've got a sandwich or something, I'd be grateful." She blinked, a little surprised, then opened her bag and pulled out a neatly wrapped sandwich. "Turkey and cheese," she said softly. "Please take it." He nodded, murmuring, "Thank you." Before she drove away, he didn't know her name, and she didn't know his story. To her it was just a simple gesture. But to him, it was a meal he hadn't had in 2 days. That night, Ethan shared half the sandwich with Lily. "Wow, Daddy, real turkey," she whispered, eyes wide. He smiled faintly. "A nice lady gave it to me." Lily hugged him and said, "Then she's an angel." Ethan laughed, but something about her words lingered. Maybe angels didn't have wings, they just drove broken cars into forgotten garages. The next morning, as Ethan opened the shop again, he saw a black car pull up. The same woman stepped out, this time not rushed, not stressed, just calm. "You again?" he said with a grin. "Car trouble already?" She shook her head. "No, I came back for you." Confused, he wiped his hands again. "For me." Grace smiled. "Can we talk?" They sat on an old bench outside his shop. She told him how she couldn't stop thinking about his kindness. The man who refused payment and only asked for a sandwich. "I looked you up," she said gently. "You're the only mechanic in this part of town still working alone. You could use help." Ethan shrugged. "I manage." But the truth was, he barely did. Grace slid an envelope across to him. "I own a chain of car dealerships," she explained. "We're expanding, and I need someone I can trust to run our new service branch. You've got skill, and you've got heart. That's rare." Ethan stared at the envelope. Inside was an offer letter, a real job with real pay. His throat tightened. "Why me?" he whispered. Grace looked at him with kind eyes. "Because you fixed my car when you didn't have to. You gave without expecting anything back. People like you deserve more than just surviving." He felt his chest ache. For years, life had only taken his wife, his savings, his hope. Now, a stranger was offering to give something back. Tears stung his eyes. I don't know what to say." Grace smiled. "Say yes." That evening, Ethan picked Lily up from school and told her the news. She squealed and hugged him tight. "See, Daddy, angels are real." He laughed through tears. "Maybe they are, sweetheart." As they drove past the sunset, his heart felt lighter than it had in years. A week later, Ethan stood in front of the new service center with his name on the sign, Cole Auto and Service, in partnership with Miller Motors. Grace shook his hand proudly. "You earned this?" she said. He smiled, eyes shining. "No," he replied softly, "we both did." And as the first customer drove in, Ethan looked toward the horizon and thought of how one sandwich had changed everything. Sometimes, life doesn't turn when you fight for it. It turns when you simply stay kind. because kindness, even the smallest kind, always finds its way back.